So I just sold my AWRE shares, my AWRE position, which was a biometric play of mine. AWRE is listed on the Nasdaq, ticker AWRE. And well, as you can see here, my average price stood at $1.85. And I went long here in the beginning of 2025, right? And I actually made quite some videos about it. But in any case, as I just mentioned, I decided to exit this position to go long on a copper stock. So that's what we're going to discuss today. First, I will explain why I decided to sell my AWRE position, my AWRE shares, and then I will review the copper stock I just bought, summarizing the investment thesis. Now, before we begin, as always, nothing in this video is investment advice, okay? And with that said, let's get started. So first, let's quickly talk about AWRE. So, AWRE was an investment of mine that, well, didn't work out for me. I ended up losing roughly 20% of my money on it. So yeah, it didn't work out for me. However, that doesn't mean this company will fail or that the stock won't go up, okay? But I personally decided to close my position, as I was saying. And the reason for that was that I simply got to the conclusion that, well, considering the current state of the company and also considering the other investment options I have, well, I just got to the conclusion that it simply didn't make any sense for me anymore to stay positioned, to continue long. Because what happened is that, honestly, I ended up losing my conviction in this investment thesis. And well, without conviction, the truth is that it gets very hard to stay positioned without being shaken out, right? So yeah, you need conviction to invest. Now, why did that happen? Why did I lose faith, so to speak? Now, to answer that, first we need to recall why I decided to invest in this company. So, I decided to go long on AWRE because though they were operating at a loss, their shares were actually really cheap at the time. And you see, the company was showing an excellent gross margin, above 90%, which is incredible. Besides, AWRE is also a biometrics pure play, so I thought this stock was a nice way to expose myself to the biometrics trend. I mean, nowadays biometrics are everywhere, right? So that's why I decided to go long. Besides, the company shows an excellent insider ownership at almost 50%, as we can see here, and AWRE had already great clients. Huge names, such as Itaú, which is one of the biggest Brazilian banks out there. And it still had a lot of cash too on its balance sheet, while its operation was not burning too much money in terms of cash flow. So yeah, AWRE still had some pretty nice breathing room. It still has, actually. But anyway, so you had reasonable motives to go long, considering the valuation. At the time I decided to invest in this company. And what I thought at the time was, well, with such a high gross margin, if AWRE is indeed able to grow, well then we could start seeing positive numbers, right? Or at least less negative numbers, which would already justify a strong repricing in the stock. And well, AWRE's products were also already being used by major companies, so their solutions had to be good, right? So what I thought was, well, if the downside is controlled, while the upside is huge, well then, why not go long, right? I mean, AWRE could indeed be a multi-bagger stock. It was a very asymmetric play. And by the way, those things still can happen. AWRE can still deliver positive numbers. AWRE can still manage to grow. The thing is that, you see, I've been following this stock for a while now. And apart from the quarterly earnings report, the truth is that it's actually quite hard to get a clear sense of what the management is thinking. But that's my personal impression, okay? But in my opinion, no, there's not much information out there about this company. You don't really find interviews with the management team, for example. And by the way, I also invited this company, AWRE, to do an interview here on my channel, so investors could have more information. But well, Unfortunately, I wasn't successful at that. But my point is, here's what I'm trying to get. It's hard to see, it's hard to get a feeling of where this company is heading, you know? And just say my impression is that the company, honestly, has not progressed much. I mean, AWRE is still not showing significant growth yet. For example, as we can see here, since 2022, AWRE's revenue only went from 16 million to the current 17 million, so definitely not a lot of growth, right? On top of that, AWRE continues to lose a lot of money. As we can see here, their operating margin stands at negative 49%, okay? And by the way, that actually gets a lot worse if we look to their latest quarterly results. I mean, as you can see here, AWRE has posted an operating margin of negative 107% in the last quarter. That's crazy, right? I mean, you must have a very good reason for that. And lastly, here's what the company said in their latest conference call. So, pay attention here. So revenue for the first quarter was 3.4 million, which was below our expectations. Transparently, we underestimated the pace at which the market was shifting and the degree to which our existing product infrastructure and architecture needed to evolve to meet it. The rapid advancement of AI has simultaneously raised the stakes and expanded the threat surface for biometric systems, making liveness detection and identity assurance more critical than ever, while making the job of protecting against spoofing and deepfakes more demanding. We didn't move fast enough to get ahead of that reality, and this quarter's results reflect that. So, in other words, AWRE seems to be falling behind in the race. That means that, well, what was left in my hands was a company that, yes, is indeed trading at a very low valuation. Yes, that's true. But that also seems to need, in a certain way, to reinvent itself, right? As we've seen, AWRE seems to be falling behind in the race. Now, honestly, I didn't go long for that. I'm not open to that adventure, you know? But that was the question I was asking myself. Is it worth it to continue long? Because, you see, I have lots of other incredible investment options on the table. For example, Reclaim, ticker MyID, that is also very cheap and that doesn't need to reinvent itself. Or MineHub. I don't know if you watched my latest interview with Andrea, MineHub CEO, but their commercial strategy is working. Okay, they are getting more paying clients. But anyway, that's what I was asking myself. Is it worth to continue long on AWRE while you have such great options on the table whose path forward I can see much clearer? And well, the answer was no, right? For me, I believe my capital, I believe that my money will be better allocated somewhere else. So, that's why I decided to sell my position, my AWRE shares. So yeah, AWRE didn't work out for me. But the positive news is that, well, I only lost 20% on it, right? Now the question is, where did I decide to invest the money I took out from AWRE? So I invested that money in a copper stock. It trades in Canada, ticker OCO, okay? And it also trades on the OTC, ticker ORRCF. And this stock, this company, is called Oracle Resources. Now, first question, why am I investing in copper? Because I think we'll see copper skyrocketing following the movement we saw on gold and silver. I think that will happen to copper now. I think it's copper's time, right? And the fundamentals also sustain that thesis that copper's price will go up over the long run, right? I mean, everybody knows copper is the metal of the future. For example, if you believe demand for AI will increase, well, that also means demand for copper will go up. If you believe demand for energy will increase, well, that means more copper. So yeah, demand for copper, in my view, is set to only go up, okay? While at the same time, copper supply is going down. You see, today's copper's deposit, in case you're not aware, are being depleted. And you don't have enough new copper deposits to replace the ones that will get shut down over time. So yeah, the prospects are very good for copper, in my view, because while demand for this metal is going up, supply, on the other hand, is going down. So that's why I decided to invest in Oracle Resources. Now, is Oracle Resources a miner? No. Their goal is not to actually mine the copper, but to develop a copper asset called Santo Tomas, located in Sinaloa, Mexico. So they want to develop this copper asset in order to sell it to a major miner, who then will mine this copper, which, by the way, is the riskier part of the operation. So yeah, that's why I decided to increase my position in Oracle Resources, both in my personal portfolio as well as in my family's portfolio. And here's why I think Oracle is a multi-bagger investment on the making. You see, Oracle's market cap stands at only $90 million, as we can see here, while they have about $13 million in net cash on their balance sheet. Now, do you know how much Oracle Santo Tomas property is worth? Is estimated billions. Okay? Yeah, billions. As we can see here in this press release, their project's value was estimated at $1.2 billion. Okay? And that's already considering taxes. So, in other words, you are buying this company for, let's say, 100 million, okay, to make things easier, while it is sitting on top of an asset that is at least worth 10 times that, okay? Now, here's the thing. You see, this study was made using a copper price of $4, okay? $4. Now, look at where copper stands today, at $6, okay? And as we've seen, copper's price should continue rising over the long run, right? So, what's my point, right? So that means that Oracle's project should be worth much more than only $1.5 billion. Besides, this study was also made considering gold at $1,700, while today gold is trading at $4,500, right? And also using silver at $23, when today it is trading at roughly $70. In other words, again, that means that Oracle Santo Tomas property should be worth far more than $1.5 billion. Today it is probably worth at least $2 billion, maybe $3 billion, especially since we have a lot of leverage here. And the higher copper goes, the more valuable this project will become. So that was the copper stock I decided to buy with the money I took out of AWRE. In the end, I know I'm buying an incredibly undervalued asset, and it is a hard physical asset. It's not software, you know. It is something you can touch, something you can make things with. It's copper, right? In AWRE's case, however, there is no such underlying asset. So you're pretty much dependent on the company being able to regain its position in the market, right? And also dependent on the company's ability to deliver positive numbers. And the problem is that since I don't have a clear vision of what the management team is doing and thinking, well then, I cannot have a clear vision of what the possibilities are, you know. So that's why I prefer Oracle Resources. In the end, I think the risk-reward ratio in Oracle, considering the current price levels, is much better. So that's it for today, and see you next time.